versus Uzi in the mid lane. Over here with Team Hong Kong versus Team Thailand. So we see the Lee in action immediately against Uzi's Trundle Swain.
Oh, that's spicy. That's really spicy. I don't know if Trundle Swain can handle the pressure though. You cannot really remove it. You just want the Leviathan ASAP, and you want Swain on the board ASAP. If they have a way to counter it, especially in the Spaces Catcher plus Equinox, you lose, sir. Good day.
So let's just see what Uzi's have in his hand right now. Noxian Guillotine.
There
Wow,
is no
no
Leviathan.
Leviathan in his access.
I'm curious how he can deal with this, to be fair. He can go for maybe freeze plus culling strike, but that's kind of all his options. And even then, there is the option of Bastion, which just saves Lee Sin. This game looks over
Exactly.
to me. I don't know about you, but this game just looks
And here we see a Dawn and Dust coming in from Mordred as well.
Well, he can even Guiding Touch at this point. Or he can Bastion because preemptively, but that's just too bad into, let's say, something like Troll Chant.
So Mordred is going for the Guiding Touch onto his Nexus, gaining barrier to the Lee Sin.
Well, now his opponent cannot do anything, and he trades the Trundle, but it's fine because he has another one. It's not really that bad.
Avalanche is not gonna do anything for this.
Well, you say the Avalanche is not gonna do anything, but in the meantime, it might be Noxian Guillotine if he decides not to respect it. But I think you always respect Noxian Guillotine in this situation. You know it's in your opponent's deck, you don't want to lose the stupid things, so you just heal your unit.
So here's the heal on the Lee Sin. The Noxian Guillotine is not gonna find the Lee Sin this turn.
That's it, but it's always happening. You know that Swain decks are renowned for playing Noxian Guillotine as their form of kind of hard removal. That's the only hard removal Noxian can actually provide, I think, besides the Reckoning.
Yeah, and there is no need for the Dawn and Dust this time.
That's about it. That's game. If here Uzi doesn't have any freeze that can save him whatsoever, and even with some freezes, I think it's still not enough because Mordred should be able to buff the Lee Sin enough in order to take the win.
And there we have game number 1 going over to Mordred against Uzi in the middle lane of this particular game, and going in, Uzi is going with the Elite Harrowing.
Damn guys, what are you, Brazilians? You are playing aggressive decks and you are finishing fast. No disrespect to the community, it wasn't meant as disrespect because Brazilian players are very well known to pilot aggressive decks perfectly. And you guys seem to nail it. You are piloting aggressively even Trundle decks.
What can I say? Welcome to Southeast Asia. And coming into the next game, we have Mordred with Ash Juani and Uzi with Elite Harrowing.
Is Mordred going to be able to get the little whiff freezes? That's my only question. Because if not, he'll be in for a fun time. Elites are too overpowered not to take the win from him if he doesn't manage to level up the Ash and get a lot of freezes online. I think that's the way he wins. And that's a decent start for freezes. Harsh Winds is a nice pickup for the late turns. And Brittle Steel, it's just good overall for a card.
And
especially in the
and we
early
always
early turns.
say that the Marcia player is always at a huge disadvantage against the Felroy player, the freeze players. So it seems like Uzi might be in a very bad position, especially him not having the early drops as well. That Bannerman is not gonna mean anything.
Well, the thing is, both players don't really have early drops. Mordred, sure, has the Omen Hawk, but both players are going to transition into turn 3, potentially turn 4 without playing anything. But Uzi finds the free drop just from the top of his deck, and he is kind of forced to play it just because he wants something on the board. He doesn't want to let the Sejuani procs go every turn.
Yep, and the Runation from his top deck from Uzi. If ever anything goes wrong, the Runation would be in his pocket for disposal. But here comes a Bannerman buffing the Vanguard for 1-1. It's probably not gonna impact the board much, but here comes the Garen. That means he has 2 Judgment in his hand as well.
Judgment is not really your payoff in this match because your opponent is playing a lot of freezes, and then Judgment slightly become, not just slightly, it becomes a lot worse because you waste 8 mana. You basically play an 8 mana do nothing if your opponent harsh wins or manages to find a flash freeze.
So not respecting a Renation coming in. Is Johnny going for the freeze on the Garrett? A Renation is a no-brainer over here from Uzi.
This is just so lovely to watch. No, not disrespecting Ruination is always a huge loss. I think you cannot afford, once your opponent goes to 9 mana and he is playing Shadow Isles and Ruination, you slightly become more careful about your plays.
Right, and also, not forgetting the discount on the Vanguard Squire. Now Vanguard Squire costs 0. And for the Fallen, it's just gonna get cheaper as turn goes by.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of affiliates, as we can see in right now. And I don't think that Garen is really a problem if it gets removed. The problem is that actually, never mind. I was thinking about Bristol stealing the Garen, but I forgot that Bristol still only works on free HP
Yeah,
units.
but if he ever goes for the Judgment over here, yo, Mordred has the the harsh winds for punish as well.
Well, I wouldn't say this is a big punish, to be fair, because he's still not out of it, and because he manages to consistently get the freezes out of his opponent's hand without really committing too much. So far, I think he would have played those naturally. The problem is that this Triferian Ancestor comes in, it's already buffed. There are already 2 units that are above 5 attack threshold, and that means 3 cards going to your hand. Welcome back, refilling time.
Yes, exactly. It seems like Uzi is going to try to get a very, very cheap for the Fallen for himself.
I think the Freljord units are the only ones that can compete with the Demacia ones. Both regions are more board centric than any others. The twist is that I think Freljord has slightly better ways to protect their units in freezes while removing barriers. I think they are easy to counter with fast speed damage spells, while freezes are just at burst speed first of all, and then you can't really counter them too much.
And the Triferian Assessor over here will draw him 3 cards, and everything is buffed from that half guard as well.
This is an open attack. This is a freaking open attack, and we win. If we are in his situation, and there's nothing he can do as he takes the other
Exactly,
loss.
and here we have Mordred taking the win over here on the mid lane against Uzi. And let's check out the rest of the team and let's see how the team is actually doing.
I think if they finish as fast as their teammates, they should be in a pretty good spot.
Yep, let's just jump over to SynKid and see how he is doing right now against Odyssey, as this is turn number 2 with Lee Sin.
Yay, another listen list, guys. If you didn't see enough of them on ladder, actually, what's the ladder on Southeast Asia? I'm curious, Mason. What's being played on
It's
Southeast Asia?
basically Lee Sin and everything else Lee Sin.
Oh, yeah, that's too sad.
Hold,
I really want a more diverse meta.
hold on, guys. Let me just jump over to SynKit. I pressed the wrong button. I'm so sorry.
Press the
Press the
button.
wrong button.
Well, so far it doesn't look pretty nice for Kid, to be fair. He only has 2 1-drops and he doesn't really have any unit, and that's the thing that's always bound to happen when you're playing a listen list. You break on spells, a lot of spells, and maybe useless minions. The 1-2s, I don't know about this choice. Usually, I think it's better to go for the Spaces Catcher just for that obvious reasons. But in some matchups, it's game winning,
Yep.
like the 8 mana drops like Leviathan and Infinite Mind Splitter are just wrecked by a simple Equinox.
Exactly. And here we have a look at Odyssey's hand. It's not looking very great as well from Odyssey side. With 2 Jack the Winner, 1 Swain, and 1 Leviathan. Those are dead cards for the first 5 turns at least.
Oh, they're just gonna wait and see who gets a stronger board presence until the late turns. And if Sinkid here manages to find a listen in his deck, this game is slightly turning into his favor. Oh, here is the Equinox. I think you want Equinox if you play against TF. Oh no, he's deciding to go for the Doggo.
Yeah, it seems like he's really wants to get out of this hand situation right here. And with the Mantle of the Stone, that's not going to make much of a difference.
I mean, I know the Doggo is cute and all, but I think you need to consider that Leviathan, because you don't have another Spacey. You don't have. Actually, you have some ways to proc this. You can find more Equinoxes, but not from the Solari Priestess, because it gives you a unit that's 4, 5, or 6, a unit or a spell.
So attacking with everything on the board for Synkid over here, dealing 3 damage onto Odyssey side. Turn 5, we have a Swain. Swain is gonna have a huge open attack. Unless he goes for the jam on the dog.
I mean, he goes for the gem on the dock. It's just the safe line. Oh, and if he didn't get a listen, he is bound to get one
Yeah, the
now.
Fallen for the Stars is gonna be huge, but he is unable to cast it this turn if he wants to stop that Swain for attacking the next turn.
Well, there is no pressure casting it this turn, right? You can just cast it next turn. The priority is here not dying to a Swain attack.
Going on the gem onto the dog to have a blocker against the Swain.
Well, he can commit additionally, but I don't think it is the case.
Oh!
Oh, never mind. You don't need a listen. I mean, you can get a buffed one, so you have an access to additional sonic waves, which is not bad at all.
But that is not what he wants to see this turn. So as
Well, he can always go Bastion because he has 2 copies of. He can go Deny. I think Bastion is the safe option just because it adds stats to your unit. You can go for another possible Bastion and then just trade with the Swain. Not trade with the Swain, but you get an additional unit on the board.
right, he could go for the Lee block on the Swain.
This block is very risky. I can say this block is very risky from Synkid's side. Because even if his Lee Si is not dying, it's damaged, and that means flocks are going to be an issue. And even if he manages to deal with the first flock that's going to come down, there is a second one. There are Make It Rains that can proc the spell shield, can proc the barriers. It's hard.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? He could go for the Bastion to save himself from the first flock, and then cast a second spell to get himself away from the barrier, and then from the Bastion he gets the +1/+1. So the Make It Rain kind of doesn't really make sense.
I think we're going to just see, because the unit is still damaged in the end, and if it is damaged, it means it can be killed. Also, that Noxian Guillotine is gonna be a huge payoff for Odyssey if he manages to find it on the way of Lee
Right,
Sin.
Noxon Guillotine could work as well.
Now let's see if the flock is gonna come down and gonna be fine.
Oh,
No, never mind.
going in for the keg instead, so allowing the Make It Rain to wow, and he high rolled and got on the Lee Sin.
Well, now his opponent, now Sinkit has two options. He either wants to disrespect the flock, in which case he plays the spell that draws him another champion, which is fine because even if his champion dies, he gets another one, so it's not that huge of a deal. Or he can respect that and just go to Bastion.
So going for the Bastion over here, the Bastion has to be on the Lee Sin, or else the Ravenous Flock is gonna kill the Lee Sin the next turn as well.
It's a matter of if Sin Kid, as I said, respects the flock and respects the possibility of one. When your opponent has one, oh, that's a huge commitment.
He committed to the deny.
Well, it's not a huge commitment hand-wise because he has another deny, but it is a huge commitment board-wise because that Lee Sin is going to die to a flock, and I'm not sure you are happy about that.
So all the efforts of protecting the Lee is gone right here, and there is nothing that Sinki can do as he's tapped out.
Well, I think you always take the safe line and you just don't want your Lee Sin to be dead. But he might also be considering the idea of, okay, this Lee Sin is going to die, but at least I'm getting a freshly new... From the top deck, of
Okay,
course,
never
because
mind.
you don't even need to draw it.
Stop decking that Lee.
I think he was considering that he doesn't want his Lee Sin to be vulnerable to Noxian Guillotine, so he's better off just going for another fully healed Lee Sin.
Right, and here we have the second Lee Sin coming in from the top deck. With just 3 mana, he's able to pull off the Sonic Wave and the spell after as well. So he could get both the barrier if he's afraid of the Noxian Bulletin.
Well, the thing is, I think this other Lee Sin is bound to die as well. Not gonna lie, if he doesn't play double spells here, or if he doesn't play Bastion.
The Bastion.
I don't think you can disrespect something like Flock and Noxian Guillotine once more. Or does he really want to kill the second Lee Sin in order to draw another one? That can also be an idea, but I think it's risky to do that.
So it's all up to Sin now if he wants to protect this Lee Sin.
I think the aggressive line is to go for barrier, so you can pull the Swain, and the other passive line is to just go with Bastion and just wait more turns because you're not really pressured, or at least for now, because you know Leviathan is going to come, and the choice of going for the Doggo instead of going for the Equinox might pay off.
Right.
For his opponent instead for himself. Oh,
And the Bastion.
this Lee Sin is going to die.
This Lee Sin
This Lee Sin is going to die. It's leveling, but it's gonna.
So Noxian Guillotine
Actually,
coming in.
is that a new animation, it looked a bit weird. I don't know if it looked weird to you, but it looked weird to
It's
me.
because of is the Chinese variation of this particular game. So there are alternate arts of a cut style and also alternate animation for the Chinese game. So due to
Oh yeah.
censorship and whatnot. Yeah.
In the meantime, there's not much going around. You just end round because you both have zero mana. And Leviathan comes in, and now is the moment of regret for Sin Kid for not picking the Equinox. And also leaving two Lee Sins to die.
Yeah, and Syndicate has to constantly maintain having 4 creatures on board for the
Well,
listen.
even 4 creatures doesn't really matter because you need to have the fourth creature at least 3 attack, and even that is not safe.
Oh, when a return on the star for a set, which is not what he is looking for.
But Z doesn't accomplish anything, that's the issue for him. He just plays the Z as a blocker, and even if it's not a blocker, anything that he plays is gonna get stunned. I think this is Odyssey's game now. He just needs to wait until his opponent loses because he cannot really react.
Going in for the full swing over here from Odyssey side of his board.
And I love this full swing. Normally you don't want to swing with Leviathan when your opponent has combat tricks, but now you can swing because your opponent has only 3 mana and he cannot really do much to kill Leviathan. Your stunning effect comes in play next turn, and then the game is just over for the Lee Sin player.
Syndicate declaring the block, taking in 5 damage from the Leviathan.
I can tell you that Synkid is not happy with that Leviathan damaging, but what can he do?
There is nothing he could do, especially taking 3 more additional damage next turn, and knowing the Z is not gonna help much unless he's buffed by the mentor.
Or if he draws another Lee Sin.
But
Well, he gets the chance to draw one, but I don't know how much it's gonna pay
that
off.
doesn't matter because Odyssey drew his second Leviathan, and Syndicate is probably not gonna make any moves from here onwards.
Yeah, from now on, it's just gonna have his board constantly frozen. There's nothing you can do. You just get the whole board stunned, and that's the game for you. You just surrender, I think, and you go to the next game if you see the next Leviathan getting picked up. And I also love this pass from Odyssey. You know that I always say I love passes, especially when they are done correctly, because Odyssey knows he has the pressure, he has the upper hand, so he doesn't really need to do anything here. He just needs to wait for his opponent to do something and then play the second Leviathan, and then his opponent is dead in just 2 turns.
So if he actually, he's kind of like respecting like any answers from Syndicate, right? So waiting for Syndicate to be tapped out and then committing the second Leviathan before he.
Yeah, of course, and that's what you do as the control or the more control player in this matchup. You don't want to commit stuff that you are going to regret after. Also, I think he might be playing around the Sonic Wave because he knows there are some copies of Sonic Wave in the deck, so he doesn't really want to commit one of the Leviathans and let it die. I think that trade is always happening, but I think if you trade on one of the Leviathans and then your opponent plays another one, you just feel so down mentally.
Right, and especially Syndicate has the Bastion to trade with the Leviathan as well.
It's gonna be a full-on attack, I think, and you want to remove that Leviathan. But the best surprise for you, it's another Leviathan that's coming. And that's not even the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is that your opponent can trade with Swain if you threaten lethal, and then he gets another Swain from the Leviathan. So you're doing all this effort just to get the same board state.
So here you see Sinki contemplating with the Sonic Wave onto the Z, trying to pick off a trade with the Leviathan.
Well, he's running out of time. Oh, he needs to play this, but I don't think it's really helpful because the Swain is always going to block maybe. And I don't think you even want...
Oh,
Oh, the Swain is not even blocking.
but that's not the case because Odyssey has a clear 9 damage or even 12 damage coming in into Sinkid's face the next turn with just the Swain and the Leviathan itself as well.
And I don't think that Synkid is running any Palm, right?
I don't think so. It's either Palm, Concussive Palm or Will of Ionia could save him this game. Let me just take a look at Sinkid's deck list. And no Palm.
It's just those two cards.
Yeah, no Palm, no Will of Ionia, and that's probably it for Sinkid.
No Palm, no Will of Ionia, no way to survive. GG.
GG.
Oh, that's just too late. One turn too late. If you would have had the
Zenith Blade.
Zenith Blade, the game would have been slightly into his favor.
There we have it. Sinkid has no way to deal with this bot that Odyssey is throwing. This attack that Odyssey is throwing at him right now. He has to say okay, taking 3 damage to everything else, and the Leviathan killing off the game, and there we have it. Odyssey winning this round against Sinkid.
Let's see which one of the rounds is this.
And currently they're
It's
at
1-1.
1-1.
So this is going to be the decider. But it might not be just because one of the other matches might have ended in a victory or a loss for one of the
Exactly. If
teams.
Solo Ball wins the game that he's currently in right now, Team Hong Kong take the win because of Modred's win from the previous game. But here we have into game number 3 of the bottom lane of Team Hong Kong versus Team Thailand, with Odyssey versus Sinkid, with Odyssey bringing in Trundle Aso against Lee Sin Z.
Well, I think this deck has the best matchup into Lee Sin decks just because you have the what's popularly known in the community as brrr,
Yeah.
which is the infinite mind splitter that just stuns Lee Sin and the Z forever, and then you leave them just there. I think going back to the last game, I think the main point where it was lost, it was when Sinkid decided to go for the Doggo instead of going for Equinox.
Yeah, that choice actually cost him the game. If he could have silenced the Leviathan back then, Sinkid would have the upper hand.
I think he decided he wants to go for the aggro rush play, but it didn't pay off. Anyways, let's focus on this game, and in this game he looks slightly better because he actually has units and he actually has the champion that he wants. He has the Lee Sin. Oh, that's 5 to the... Yeah, that's already 5 damage to the face being done, but that doesn't really matter when you have Catalyst of Ians and you have Guiding Touch as well.
Yep.
That 5 damage is like nothing. Also, the card of the hour, the brrr, is in the
Yeah,
hand.
we have the Mind Splitter in Odyssey's hand as well. We might get to see some action.
You can also even not play Dragon's Clutch at this point, just because you already have the Infinite Mind Splitter. What else do you play?
He could go for the troll.
Oh, this is juicy. This is juicy. That Lee Sin is never going to see the light of day. Well, he's not gonna see the light of day anyways because he's blind. That's another different story.
He's not just blind, he's gonna get a ray of light shining at him with the sunburst, killing him off. Wow.
Well, we could say he never saw it coming.
And a second sunburst for another Lee. If Sinkit ever plays a Lee as well, and Zed is his best bet right now in his hand.
Well, imagine the second sunburst goes on Zed. It might be an option, but it's also an option to go for the flash freeze instead.
So what would Odyssey do? Instead of going for the flash freeze, he went for the throw instead.
Well, I respect this decision just because now that troll can decide with the can trade with the Zed here. It's just gonna happen.
So flash freeze onto the Z, taking the trade. There is no response from Sinkit's side. Pale Cascade is not
Well,
gonna.
he can decide to go for this, but it's not really worth it, really, because well, actually it is because you keep your Zed alive.
Yeah, he keep the Z alive, and he still have more creatures on the board than Odyssey.
Also, if you go draw into another Pale Cascade, that's also winning here because your opponent has only one mana. I don't think he's running Rito still. Talking about the doggo.
Yeah, talking of the doggo,
Last
my
game.
doggo just bugged. Hey, relax. Hey.
I think a questionable play has been made and the doggo has spotted it. We are going to be sure to find the questionable play that the doggo
And the
saw.
Sunburst going in onto the Z from Odyssey side of the board. There is no response that Sinkit could throw unless he goes for a deep meditation into Bastion.
Well, you have higher chances if you go into deep meditation, so there's really no reason to sacrifice your Z for nothing.
And I don't think the Bastion is
And
gonna
I've
make it, right?
No, the Bastion is going to make it. The Bastion stops the
Ooh,
spell.
and the top deck Bastion.
But Troll Chant seals the deal. That's the issue.
Right, and
This play was highly punishable by deny though, so that's why I kind of disagree with it. But knowing now that we see Sinkit's hand and we know that he has no way to deal with it, it was pretty much correct.
and it seems like Odyssey is in a comfortable spot, but however at 9 health on his Nexus, but having lesser creatures compared to Sinkit.
I mean, oh, he has the Sketcher, now he needs to get the Equinox. And look at this situation, because Odyssey already removed 2 champions, and the Infinite Mind Splitter can come down on something else than the champions if he needs to.
So currently it seems like Sinkit has turned this game around, especially like with his Lee and Zed getting blasted by the Ray of Light.
Well, I think he's going for the Sonic Wave just for the sole purpose of not losing a unit to a block that you don't want to see. Actually, that is pushing for
Yeah, he's-
lethal. I love it.
Sin is pushing for Little over here. Could the heals actually bring Odyssey out of it? And another Guiding Touch off that Guiding Touch survives this attack.
Oh, that is just dirty, my man. That is just dirty.
And the Catalyst of Aeon over here could bring the Aurelion Soul out the next turn as well. Yo, the Odyssey is such a good player that he's drawing nuts.
Yeah, now it's over. Now it's over. I don't think there is any way for Sinkyo to come back. Oh, okay, he can get the Equinox, but does it matter at this point when the Aurelion Soul
No
is coming in?
Equinox
He
at
doesn't
his
even get it.
disposal. Moonglow is not gonna make a difference.
Well, it might make a difference to be fair if you want to play it on the eye and just have additional protection and an additional blocker if you want to block with eye.
Right.
I think he just wants to decide how much do I want to play into Avalanche, but I don't think Avalanche is the real concern for Odyssey here, mainly because he's almost dead if he doesn't play other units that can actually stick to the board.
Probably dropping the snake is the best move for Syndicate here, I guess.
Well, if your opponent doesn't has the Avalanche, at least you bait the Avalanche next turns and force him to commit to slightly non-optimal play instead of just playing Aurelion Sol or having another
Right.
blocker.
Passing the turn back to Odyssey, playing around the Avalanche, and the Trundle top deck for Odyssey, and Mind Splitter immediately coming in. Is it even wise to play the Mind Splitter like that instead of the Aurelion Soul?
I think it is just because you already removed two champions and your opponent is not really pushing for champions.
Oh, and the Obliterate of that Solari Priestess as well. It seems like the Mind Splitter is bye-bye.
Yeah. I mean, there are some lists of Trundle Aurelion Sol that are running Bastion themselves, but we don't see that now.
Yeah, no Bastion in hand to protect the Mind Splitter. And it seems like
I would say this line was pretty greedy,
if we're
but it also was some luck involved. Well, not really that much luck because I think this Solari Priestess is one of the most balanced invoke cards that there are because it lowers the odds of getting random
right,
stuff. You can somehow control the RNG.
so both players are drawing really well. And it seems like Syndicate having the wider board, Syndicate might have the upper hand against Odyssey this time.
I think it is just gonna win at this point. Nothing major can happen on Odyssey's side that can seal the
Yeah,
deal.
and
Maybe, I don't know, guiding touch into star shaping into star shaping.
that would be awesome if he actually pull that off.
The invokes this turn kind of pay for Synkid's sins from last game.
Yeah, and a second of
Another comet if I ever need none.
and Syndicate gets another Dragon Link as well.
Well, it's not about the Dragoning anymore, I think, even, because he just dragged the 4-2, he doesn't get to block the most
that is
damage,
lethal.
it's already hard, and that should be lethal. There is nothing.
And the dragon is not gonna make a difference. Aurelion so into Mind Splitter, Guiding Touch. Could he get another healing spell? No healing spell from that Guiding Touch. And Syndicate has the W over here over Odyssey, and you know, Team Hong Kong moving on to the next round.
I think I've heard your dog crying for Odyssey.
Yeah. My dog just whined and said, "Oh, what a waste."